Hey Jane, so it's great to talk to you again today. I know that we've got a lot of people watching in the audience who are new mommies and daddies, and so that's why I think what you do is especially I don't know, I'll call it exciting and pretty relevant. So I know that I could say you're a sleep consultant, but can you tell the audience like what that means and what led you to become a sleep consultant?
Sure. So, first of all, thank you for taking the time to interview me and share my story with your community. I really appreciate it. My name is Jayne Havens. I am a certified sleep consultant. I specialize in both infant and toddler sleep. I support parents through the process of establishing healthy and independent sleep hygiene for their children. So, when I work with parents who have infants, that looks like coaching them through sleep training, which is really just teaching a baby how to fall asleep and back to sleep independently. Parents are rocking their babies to sleep, bouncing their babies to sleep, feeding their babies to sleep. And when a baby falls asleep, rocking, bouncing, nursing, whatever that looks like, then what tends to happen is they rouse, 30 minutes later or an hour later or every hour in the middle of the night, expecting that same support to get themselves back to sleep. So when we teach them how to fall asleep with less support, that leads to longer stretches of sleep overnight. When I work with families that have toddlers and preschool age children, it's more about empowering parents to show up with confidence, sturdiness, authority in their homes, and really set boundaries around sleep. A lot of the 3 and 4 year olds that I work with, they want a parent to sit with them while they fall asleep. And then same thing, they're up in the middle of the night asking a parent to come back into the room, or they want to go into parents' beds. And so I coach parents through the process of really shifting the way that they parent via communication and role play, and then holding boundaries. And we teach these little ones to fall asleep all on their own and sleep through the night. All of my support is virtual. I work with families all across the country and even abroad. And largely it happens, I write them a written sleep plan, and then we get onto a phone call to review it, answer their questions. And then most of my support happens via text message and audio note over the course of about a 2 week period. And usually we take them from, rock bottom to absolutely thriving in under 2 weeks, which is really magical.
Yeah, that is magical. I mean, my boys are older now, but having somebody to help me and to kind of walk through things and walk that path with me when they were little and we were sleep training, right? When we were going through that process, that would have been amazing. So you are a sleep consultant, but then there's, this other exciting thing that you do that can, leading question just a little bit, but talk to us about your certification program.
Yeah, so back in 2019, I created Center for Pediatric Sleep Management, which is an online sleep consultant certification program. I train other people to do this really meaningful and rewarding work that I do. The online program is completely self-paced. You can enroll at any time. You can sort of breeze through it, or you can take your time. I like to see my students finish in 4 to 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks. But honestly, if it took you 6 to 8 months, that would be fine too. And it's a combination of reading and video content. We literally teach all things sleep. We're talking about the science of sleep. We're talking about sleep as it relates to different developmental ages and stages. So, like what's happening at 4 months versus what's happening at 8 months versus what's happening at 2 or 3 years old. We're talking about all different sleep training methods and techniques because really, I think the most important thing is meeting families where they are and coaching them through a process that most closely aligns with their parenting style and feels like the right fit for them. Inside of the course, we're also covering how to support families that have children with special needs, unique circumstances like multiples, how to coach parents through difficult situations like when your baby is sick or teething, or what happens when we travel? How do we handle getting back on track when sleep is disrupted if we're, you know, taking a vacation to a different time zone? So we cover all of that. Inside of the program, you'll also learn how to write a sleep plan, how to effectively communicate these strategies with families, how to effectively coach them from point A to point B and get them the results that they're looking for. And we also place a really heavy emphasis on business building and entrepreneurship. This is the whole reason for why I created Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. I originally trained through another online program to learn how to do this work myself. And the program that I trained through did a pretty solid job of teaching me what I needed to know about sleep, but there was literally no guidance on how to grow a successful sleep consulting business. And that felt like the missing piece of the puzzle for me. I happen to have a background in sales, so getting out there and growing a business didn't feel so hard for me, but I do recognize that that is really challenging for a lot of people. And I also was raised in a family of entrepreneurs. My father, my brothers are both very entrepreneurial. So the whole idea of like taking a chance on myself and getting out there and being a little scrappy and figuring it out as I go, that's all stuff that I was raised around that. It doesn't feel scary and overwhelming to me, but I recognize that most people who come to train with me, they are teachers, they're nurses, they're stay-at-home moms. They either are getting a steady paycheck every other week from, the government or some big company. They're not used to sort of like getting out there and building something of their own. And so we lean very heavily into that. And, inside of the course, we're literally teaching you how to get onto a phone call to talk to parents in a way that articulates your value and helps them to understand the transformation that they're going to receive. How are you going to market your business? And also like the mindset work that goes along with all of this, because a lot of people spend a lot of time worrying about their business or thinking about their business, but not actually taking action in their business. And so this is something we talk a lot about inside of the program.
And I would imagine that setting boundaries is also quite an important part of any kind of program, especially when you're working with people and their families. Do you teach around setting boundaries?
Yeah, so we have a Facebook group for students and grads where as soon as you enroll in the program, you get added into this Facebook group. And it's a place where we all hang out, we answer each other's questions, we support one another. And actually, boundaries is something that comes up a lot. One of the questions this morning inside of the group was from a brand new Center for Pediatric Sleep Management graduate who has literally just supported her first two families, and she had great success with both of them. But both of them have come back to her, a couple weeks later, saying to her, like, things have slipped back, and what do I do now? And so that was actually her question this morning is like, can you help me navigate this? And so I will chime in on that thread and I'll give her the language to share with these families. And the beautiful thing about our community is that it's very communal. It's not just me answering questions. She'll get answers from a dozen other people who have had similar experiences, and we'll all sort of talk through this together.
So it's really just an amazing, I mean, it's an amazing thing that you're presenting to people from the time that I'll say, sign up for the self-study program that you offer. How long, realistically, on average, do you think it takes somebody to get through the program? Because I know you said it's self-paced, but
Yeah.
what's a realistic time that somebody could say, okay, I can, I'll start making money at this point?
Yeah. I like to see people finish in 4 to 6 weeks. I think if you spent an hour every night instead of scrolling your phone or binging a Netflix series and really prioritized getting through the training, I think you'd finish it in a month or so. As far as how long it takes to land your first client, this is so person dependent.
Sure.
We have graduates. Well, we have people inside of our program who haven't even finished the course yet, and they're already taking clients just because they feel ready to do so. And I'm certainly not in the business of keeping them from getting started. If they feel confident that they have the tools and the knowledge to support families, I'm certainly not going to tell them not to. So we have people inside of our community who haven't even passed the course yet, who have already landed their first clients. And then just like in anything else, we do have people inside of our community where it takes longer for them. There's definitely for some people a learning curve. Not everybody feels comfortable getting out there, networking,
Sure.
connecting, talking about what you do. And while I feel confident that I am giving my students the tools to be successful, ultimately you got to use those tools to get out there and grow your business. So there's definitely a wide range of normal, but there are so many tired parents out there. I am convinced that more than half of all families with young children have a child that's not sleeping through the night. This is not actual data. This is just anecdotal, but I'm pretty positive that a majority of families are not sleeping. And sleep consulting, this field is very much up and coming. It's very new, it's very niche. Most new parents have never even heard of a sleep consultant. So, new day, every single day, new parents are being born who do not yet know that this service exists to them for them. And it's our job to get out there and tell them how we can help. And, that might be connecting with pediatricians, it might be connecting with OBGYNs or mental health professionals. One of my best referral sources is a therapist who specifically works with moms who are struggling with perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, postpartum anxiety and
Sure.
depression. And, she always says to me that when a mom comes her way and is really struggling, the first thing she asks is like, how's your baby sleeping? And if the baby's not sleeping, she immediately refers them to me because she feels like she cannot get them out of that, postpartum fog if they're sleep deprived.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
and sometimes moms think that they have postpartum depression or postpartum anxiety, and really from like a clinical perspective they don't. They literally are just exhausted.
Oh,
They're severely sleep deprived, and once we resolve that, all of a sudden they can thrive. And I'll tell you, I experienced that myself. When I had my son 13 years ago, my oldest child, he really gave me a run for my money. At around 4 months, he was waking up every single night in the middle of the night. And I was miserable. I was not enjoying motherhood. I was down. I was not able to function. And, at the time, maybe I thought postpartum anxiety, or postpartum depression. I hadn't yet sought help for that, but I decided to sleep train him. And literally in one night, he slept through the night. By night two, he was a sleeper. And all of a sudden, I was a happy mom again. I was enjoying him. I was enjoying my marriage, and I was thriving as a young parent. And I wouldn't have been able to say that just, 3 days prior. So it really does have a major impact on maternal mental health. And, sometimes just like a little bit of sleep training does the trick for the entire family.
well, that baby, that baby sleeping through the night, or I should say not sleeping through the night, it affects the whole household. It's not
Correct.
just, it's just not just mom and dad, but if there's other kids in the house or other family members in the house, I can't even imagine if we still lived in multi-generational houses or if that was more common. Than it is now, all the people that it would affect. But I think something that you said was interesting is that you're, not based on real statistics, just kind of your intuition saying about half the families. Well, my husband and I are in our, I'll just say late 40s. We really are in our late 40s, but we're in our late 40s. And, we have two couple friends that have just had newborns. And so it's really interesting because our kids are, well, 25 and 17, and now we have friends that have babies. And, both of them I'm friends with the dad on one side, and my husband's friends with the mom of the other couple, which is, just funny how that works. And both of them, we're both getting text messages of, I'm so tired. And so I think it's more. I mean, this is not something that, even if we did live in that multi-generational household where, let's say our moms were there and our grandmothers were there, I don't know that there's really any education or any training around how to get babies to sleep. And everybody, of course, has a different, philosophy on things. So to really know that what somebody is learning is backed by a professional, that's you're doing amazing work, is what I
Yes.
should say to that.
And I should say our training is entirely evidence-based. This is grounded in science. This isn't just like somebody's parenting opinions. This is real stuff that works. And pediatricians are very much in favor of sleep consulting. Pediatricians are very pro sleep training. They know that it benefits both the parents and the child. And the interesting thing about pediatricians, every single time you take your child, my kids are now 13 and 9 and they just had their well visits and they were both I was asked about both of them, like how many hours do your kids sleep overnight? What does bedtime look like? Do they sleep through the night? This is a question that my pediatrician has asked me since my babies were newborns. And I'm still being asked this question at ages 9 and 13 because it
Mhm.
matters. And, had I said to her, she knows I'm a sleep consultant, but had I said to her, my kids are terrible at bedtime, they don't go to bed, it's a disaster, they're all exhausted, she would not have time in that, 20-minute appointment to coach me on how to make any changes, right? Like she just does not have the time to properly articulate what would need to happen in order to see a change in my home. She also is not positioned to emotionally support me, hold me
Right.
accountable, coach me through. And so pediatricians are very much in favor of the work that we do because we're getting families results. We are coaching them through a process that can feel overwhelming, stressful, emotionally charged, and the end result is that families are sleeping better. So pediatricians love to refer sleep consultants.
Well, I think what's amazing, and as we wrap things up, I really what I think is amazing is you're leading people to, starting a business that really is about helping other families, and they truly can start taking on clients in as little as 3 months, or even, if they were really motivated or less, and that's pretty amazing. So, anything else you want to share with us, and what is the best way for people to find out more information?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd love to quickly share a little bit about what the business model looks like so that people can understand what it would look like to do the work and earn money in this field. Most of us sleep consultants work virtually, so we're supporting families that don't necessarily live in our town, they don't necessarily live in the same state. And all of it happens again via a written plan, text message support, voice notes, phone calls as needed. I am charging $750 for a 2-week virtual consultation. I do this work full time. So generally, I'm supporting 12 to 15 or 16 families a month doing this work. And that's in addition to supporting all of my students inside of Center for Pediatric Sleep Management. We're recording this in January. I'll tell you, January is sort of like, it's like the gym for New Year's, like how everybody joins the gym. Everybody calls a sleep consultant in January. I have signed on, I think as of today, 22 families in 28 days. So it's a busy month. That's more than I typically like to take on, but I'm here for it every now and then. And we also from time to time will do like one-off calls. I charge $145 for a 30-minute Ask Me Anything call. That's just like a troubleshooting call. Former clients will hop onto my calendar if they just need a tweak, a scheduling tweak, or if their child is sleeping great but waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, they'll hop onto my calendar for one of those calls. If for anybody who's listening and would love to learn more about Center for Pediatric Sleep Management or just sleep consulting in general, I think the two best resources to share are my Facebook group and my podcast, which both have the same name. It's called Becoming a Sleep Consultant. So you can search on Facebook and find the Becoming a Sleep Consultant Facebook group. You can search in any podcast app, Apple, Spotify, whatever, and search Becoming a Sleep Consultant, and that will pop up. Those are two great free resources to tell you a little bit more about what it looks like to do this work. And our website is thecpsm.com.
Perfect. And we'll include all of that in the notes from this recording. But I just think it's such an amazing opportunity that you're presenting to people, not only on the side of you as a sleep consultant, but teaching others teaching others the same. So I really appreciate you taking the time to have this call with me today. And like I said, we'll include information on how to reach out to you and how to connect with you in the notes of the show.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Jane.